Good evening, and welcome to the June 28th work session of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What day is it?
Thank you. It is, isn't it?
June is over.
You know, it's either Wednesday or Tuesday. I'm sorry. Welcome to the June 25th. When is the 28th?
Tuesday would have been the 24th.
That's true also. Anyway, a couple of announcements. On Saturday morning at 9:30 in Veterans Park, Jesse Collier Youth Sports and we will honor Laura Lee Sports and Lee Katz, who, like his father and grandfather before him, have served the Ossining community as our primary source of sporting goods for individuals and for teams since 1929. Lee was not around at the time. If you have ever played any sports in Ossining or have children who now play or grandparents or parents who once played, please join us to celebrate Lee and Laura Lee Sports. Again, that's 9:30 a.m. on Saturday, June 28th in Veterans Park. On Thursday, July 3rd, fireworks on the waterfront. The best views will be from, and the concert stage will be on the Harbor Square Parkland property. And bring your friends and bring your family and bring a picnic, or there will be vendors from Ossining restaurants selling in that little circle around the Ossining Boat and Canoe Club. So no alcohol, please, but please do come. It's a great evening. Usually 10 or so thousand people show up on our waterfront. And I can see that the captain of police is there smiling at me. He's really looking forward to being away for this one. Before the fireworks, the first band of the season, Jigsaw. It's a diverse and uniquely talented group that draws its inspiration from Southern Black Gospel and is influenced by such styles as Disneyland, swing, blues, jazz, rock and roll, country, and hip-hop, which have revolutionized the way the entire world listens to and dances to music. So that should be really exciting. And after the fireworks, the fireworks will start at 9:15. After the fireworks at 9:45, we'll have another band, Silver or Lead. Lead? Lead. Why not? It's an Ossining band. And it's one of the hottest cover bands. They'll play eclectic mix of rock and funk and soul that will get people out of their seats, or in this case, off of their blankets or the grass, and dance and have a good time. So rock the night away with us and keep the celebration going. Anyone else?
Yes, I do. I'll give everybody my weekly reminder to visit energizeossining.org if you're a homeowner here in Ossining, and you can, for probably little or no out-of-pocket cash, make your home more comfortable, more affordable, and more valuable. So go find out more about it at energizeossining.org. And I will also call to your attention, we are always focusing on the residential portion of the opportunities that there are for energy efficiency upgrades. There's also opportunities in Ossining because we are part of the Energy Improvement Corp. There's also opportunities for if you are a business that owns property or a nonprofit that owns property in Ossining, there are opportunities for you to have similar kind of programs done on your property. You can probably reach them through energizeossining.org, or you can just reach out to me at garrity@villageofossining.org, and I'll put you in touch with the folks over there that can help you. And along the lines of music and dance, I'll give a last shout out to register. For anybody who's watching this online, you still have time to register for the West African Drum and Dance program that's going to be offered at the Ossining Rec Center. There are programs for kids, there are programs for adults, there's drumming, there's African dance. It'll be Saturdays during the summer, so go ahead and visit I assume the rec department. Oh, let's see, they've got an email address right here. Matthew y1@optonline.net. And Henry told us about this last week, so you may already have heard about it. Christina, are you saying something about this that I should know? Okay. Okay.
She's just saying I should sign it.
Oh, great, great. Well, that'll be fun. I look forward to hearing the concert at the end of the summer.
Maybe you could get the whole office to sign up. Wouldn't that be good?
All right, and my last announcement for tonight is regarding our next screening in the Ossining Documentary and Discussion Series. On July 17th, please join us at 6:30 at the Ossining Public Library. The movie is called Living for 32. It's the story of a survivor from the Virginia Tech shooting, which we all remember. And it's a really highly charged and challenging and emotional issue, and we have put together quite an interesting panel with a variety of perspectives, and I really encourage community members to, again, come out for this one. We touch on a lot of different topics each month, bringing the community together to engage in discussion. Often it's lively and fun or environmentally focused. Last time it was a lot of singing, and this time it's going to be about gun safety, gun violence, gun laws and regulations, and sometimes the victims. So please do join us 6:30, July 17th. That's a Thursday at the Bedars Theater at the Ossining Public Library. Thank you.
Oops. Okay, thank you. We have several items on the agenda this evening. Will be followed by an executive session for the purpose of discussing contractual matters and obtaining legal advice. The first item on the agenda this evening is discussing the proposed project at the Joseph Caputo Community Center. It's the lighting project. I think this has been discussed previously, and Henry Atterbury brought it to your attention, so we have the final estimate here, which the total is $15,297, and it's my understanding that you wish to take that from the park, the money's deposited for in lieu of parkland.
Yes.
And we'll make it back in a year and 2 months or so,
Okay,
Yes.
which is
Savings,
great.
Utility savings.
Definitely.
okay, so we're good for that.
Yep.
Okay, all right, good.
I'm only just
Yes.
curious, because I don't think it was mentioned in the material. Did this estimate come through one of our new procurement processes, or is it just under the level that?
It's the annual bidder.
Oh, it's the annual bidder? Okay, thank you, Christina.
Okay, the next item is we're getting ready to move forward with our Spring Street two-way project, and the treasurer here, Tom Warren, is here to speak to you about the budget modifications necessary to proceed.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Board of Trustees.
Evening.
When we were working on the 2014 budget, in the capital plan, we had the Spring Street two-way change listed in the capital plan, but we didn't provide any funding, in part because we weren't sure what the price was going to be and to what the extent. The engineer has now given me an estimate of $26,082, which he itemized for me, and I'm submitting a budget resolution to ask that this amount be transferred from the general fund contingency fund and transferred into the capital projects fund to establish a capital project, which is actually part of the ongoing capital project that we have for that downtown redevelopment area. So it's not really a new project, it's just continuation of the project with some additional funding.
Good. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one question. Why do we need to buy an evergreen tree? Are they gonna waive it? What's that for?
I'm sorry, you know what, that should have been a capital T as in Evergreen Tree, the company that is,
Thank you.
Annual tree contract.
I thought we were perhaps
that is
buying,
actually
using a
doing,
tree in some way.
you're doing some tree trimming as part of the project.
Thank you. Just clarifying.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, the next item is, in the absence of Village Attorney Lori Lee Dixon, she asked me to submit this item for your consideration. It's an amicus participation. The village was approached by Harbor Square in connection with a matter that was pending at the Village of Haverstraw. Has to do with condemnation and the fact, basically, that property is condemned today, but one of the courts saw fit to assign it a property value which was in place like maybe 4 or 5 years later, when it could already realize the enhancements that were available adjacent. So instead of looking at its raw value, they evaluated it as if it had the benefit of these improvements that were put into place years after it was actually acquired. So
This is in
that's,
Haverstraw, right?
yes, it is. Yep.
That's not here.
No. It is actually Haverstraw, and it's actually an action that's pending against the Village of Haverstraw, with the Village of Haverstraw. They had, I guess, Ginsburg is going to join in expressing their displeasure with the decision, which increased the finding of value from $2.5 to $6.5 million. So they're going to express their displeasure, and I understand that a number of other municipalities, including Tarrytown, are joining in. I forget the other ones, Yonkers, Greenberg, maybe. Yeah, it's a number of them. So the request was made. The Village of Ossining, of course, went through condemnation in connection with its Harbor Square project, and
Not this board.
did not have this experience either. So
Well, it
not this
also
board.
was, what year? It was
Probably-
1992.
Yeah, this,
Right.
this sitting board was not
Right.
sitting
No.
when they did that condemnation
Exactly.
project.
Right.
I, for one, unless you're building a hospital or a highway or a school, I think that it is completely wrong and against what condemnation is supposed to be used for, to take private property away and use it to give another private individual that land. Because what that actually does, it means that nobody really owns property. You just are the steward of that property until somebody comes along who can show that they can create a larger tax influx to the municipality, and they can take your land from you and give it to them. So, no, I absolutely am adamantly against supporting this. They should never have condemned that land for it to be used for a private developer.
I don't think you understand the history of that situation. The land was to become affordable housing. The guy went bankrupt. The guy who held the loan was a loan shark who decided it should be a garbage dump instead. Then it was taken by the village of Haverstraw, the single poorest village in Rockland County, to create housing and a ferry that went across to Ossining for the train, so that they could entice people from the city to move to Haverstraw, adding to their tax base. This is actually a perfect use of eminent domain. This was not a constructive use earlier. It had been lying fallow. It was polluted. Been lying fallow for years at that point. I don't think it's a good idea to just willy-nilly take property from one person and give it to another, but I think that when circumstances require it and there is a specific municipal purpose, which is part of the eminent domain law, I think it's a perfectly valid thing to do. We haven't done it since whenever that property was back in the 90s, and it wasn't this board, as you point out, that did it.
No.
We're not likely to do it anytime soon. We've already, when approached by one developer asking us to take another property on that developer's behalf, we said no.
Good.
But there could be situations where there are disintegrating buildings, what are they called now? Zombie properties, where something perfectly good and tax producing and attractive could be built in its place. I think that's legitimate use, so.
I know, we don't
But this,
agree.
but this is not about whether or not we're going to use eminent domain. This is about the correct use of the law, applying it to the payment of someone who already agreed to a payment and then 4, 5, 6 years later went back to the courts and demanded that what currently existed, as opposed to what existed when he left that property, is what should be assessed, and the court agreed. So that's a dangerous precedent, I think, for anyone with properties such as we, or any other aging infrastructure community, whether it be on the Hudson River or in Buffalo. It's a dangerous thing for them to apply after you have done the development, for them to apply a hugely different amount of money.
I
Right.
get it.
Yeah, I have similar strong feelings about the use of eminent domain to what Bob was expressing, and would be very concerned about that. But it's my understanding that this is, what we're being asked to support is not whether or not this was an appropriate application of eminent domain or our feelings about eminent domain at all, but rather a financial transaction that came years later that seems unfair to the municipality. Is that?
Because the court would not admit the evidence that would have shown that it was unfair.
Okay, so I just, because I was a little hesitant about that too, anything. I don't really want to make a statement on behalf of another municipality about eminent domain, but it's my understanding that that's actually not what we're being asked to be in support of. Can you clarify for us legally?
Can you be specific, Richard, on that?
It's just the premise that it was originally evaluated for $2.5 million, and then later on, when it went up on appeal, the court allowed information to come in about the value that was enhanced from the point of the $2.5 million appraisal to 4 or 5 years later, at which point it was theoretically worth more because all the surrounding property had been enhanced. So yes, there were improvements made from the date of the condemnation award or the agreement to the time of the ultimate appraisal. And that's the only issue that you're speaking to. And they didn't allow the date of the, apparently, they did not allow the date of the improvements to be entered into evidence, or they may never have been considered.
And there was an exceedingly long period of time before this case was heard. Is that
Oh, yeah. I
true
mean,
as
that's,
well?
that's normal. I mean, yeah.
Oh,
It takes,
okay.
it
That's
takes
normal.
years. Yeah,
Okay.
right.
I have a couple questions, Richard. As Lori Lee lays it out here, I guess the initial appeal went to the New York State Supreme Court, and then it was appealed to the Appellate Division, Second Department. So basically, we had a case where, we had one court that agreed with the new valuation, and then a second court that reviewed that decision and reaffirmed that decision. And now they're seeking, I guess, which the Court of Appeals is the final, at least with the New York State, is the final appeals court. Is that correct?
Yeah, from Supreme Court, you can always go to the appellate term or the appellate division as of right, but in order to go to the Court of Appeals, which is the ultimate highest court, you need their permission. So you need leave to appeal. You can't just go there automatically.
Right.
It's got to be on a very limited basis.
So I guess what I would want to understand is, when the Appellate Division, the Second Department, made their decision, I mean, had they seen cases like this before? Was this something that they had viewed in the past? I'm just wondering around the precedence of the case,
You don't know.
I haven't studied this. I'm standing in for Lori Lee. I haven't studied this issue, so.
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to understand if we're standing behind something that are we all just holding hand? I mean, I don't like the decision that the court made. That being said, I would like to understand, what other precedents have taken place where this is done.
I mean, it sounds to me, quite frankly, is fundamentally unfair. So whether there's another precedent that goes to the contrary or not, it can always be overturned. That's why you go to the Court of Appeals. Because we have several appellate divisions, and each appellate division might come up with a different decision
Well, that's my
on a
understanding, too,
particular
is that
item.
even the appellate divisions disagree with each other in these
I'm
things.
sure they do, yeah, and then that's when, if you have a disagreement, that's why, if they found that there was an essential issue of fact, of law, then they'll allow it to go to the Court of Appeals, especially if there's a differing opinion among jurisdictions. So that's when the Court of Appeals steps in, because it's an issue of law, it has to be settled, for once and for all, so.
So we're being asked to support the legal position of the Village of Haverstraw.
Right. Well, based on the facts of the case, it doesn't seem fair to me that you would take a valuation 6 years later, or however many years later, and use that as the basis for the valuation for the condemnation. That doesn't sound right to me, and based on my understanding of the facts, I would support Lori Lee's amicus brief for this. I don't have a problem with it.
What is the time frame on when Havstra would need to have our support or not?
I thought it was like 7th of July or something like that.
It is very,
Right.
it's imminent. I don't know exactly the date, but because apparently they have gotten beyond one level. When we were first asked to do this, and Lori Lee advised us to wait until the second level, they've gotten beyond that level. Now it's happening faster. So it is soon. Ginsburg keeps writing me emails, as does Chuck Lesnick, you've spoken, you've also spoken to the mayor of Haverstraw. This is really crucial that we and every other community that believes it is unfair get on board quickly.
Well, I actually will not be able to attend next week's meeting, so if you were to discuss it, go into work session to have a discussion, I wouldn't be able to participate in it. But given the fact that Lori Lee's the one who's the most familiar with it, and Bob has some concerns, perhaps you all without me might want to discuss it further next week, and that would give us just that short window then that would be July 2nd.
With a 3-day holiday in there, we might not get it in on time.
No,
So,
Christina, maybe you know, I mean, she came in and specifically asked that it be added to the agenda, I'm assuming because the calendar is short.
Yeah.
What's the 7th of July? That's the date that I remember. What
That
is
would be the
that?
Monday.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, this was, Corporation Council did express some urgency with having this on tonight's agenda and trying to move it forward, and that she had also mentioned that it was the Village of Haverstraw that she had spoken to it and had requested this to help them because what they're facing, and just, I guess it's very onerous for.
she said to me that she felt that we should go into legislative session and pass it tonight if we can.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable about this whole thing. I mean, I'm not sure when Laura Lee got this memo from Haverstraw, but we just got it this afternoon. You know, and there was a question raised earlier, I guess, in one of the emails in regards to, is there any municipality that has said no to this? And if there is, and you know, why did they say no? I mean, we only heard, there's a lot of municipalities in the waterfront. We only heard maybe like 3 or 4 that are in the Hudson River portion of it. I haven't heard anything about
Well, they're not all on the
Peekskill
river.
or, well,
Mount Vernon is certainly
oh,
not
no,
on
I
the
know,
river.
exactly. I
But
mean,
Mount
that's-
Vernon is facing a very serious issue of transit-oriented development and taking a number of properties near one of their railroad stations, much of which are abandoned properties or underused or blighted properties, in order to do that. I was at a conference today where that was a major topic of conversation. Mamaroneck has gone through a long process to come to that point, but they're not taking any properties. But Mamaroneck, well, it's a different issue. It's not the same sort of community. It's the communities that have old infrastructure and a less than affluent majority community that it does matter. So it's Mount Vernon and possibly even White Plains, but certainly Yonkers and Tarrytown and us and Peekskill. And I don't know what difference would it make if somebody said no to doing this? What influence would that have on your?
I just want, and it has nothing to do with the influence, it just has to do with, you know, we should kind of do our homework in a way. I mean, I don't want it just because someone says.
I think it would not have come to this point if Lori hadn't already done some homework.
No, of course.
We brought this up.
Yeah,
this
I
came up
think this had been
months ago.
coming, yeah, this has been around for a while, but
We have
the-
to pass a piece of legislation to do this? No,
no, I think it's merely, I think it's a letter.
Listen, I guess what I would say is I would like to speak to Lori Lee. I would like to get some more information. You know, if we could, you know, send some emails around of some kind of affirmation over the next couple of days, I think that would probably get it done. I mean,
she's away, so I would say she'll be back on Monday. I don't think it requires a vote of the board. I think it can be done by consensus. So if the
okay, well,
consensus can
that's
be
fine.
reached.
I have questions that you can't answer about it. And
No, because I've never looked into it. It
Yeah,
was given to me
that's-
this afternoon.
that's fine.
So I would say that, you know, if you can compose your questions, you know, she'll be back. She can certainly respond to them. And if it's resolved on Monday, one way or the other, that's timely.
Okay,
That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, the next item is, and the last item on the formal session for this evening, I'll just run over several of the items that I've been working on and that the manager's office has been working on over the last month. Over the last month, we met and participated in discussions with 3 prospective developers, redevelopers of the village-owned former bank building at 200 Main Street. We did that as well with the manager of downtown development. We placed the applicants on the board agenda for discussion, and we followed up to obtain additional information for the board. We also received several other inquiries on village-owned property and some privately owned parcels. However, we have not heard anything further at this time, and as soon as we do, we'll certainly bring them back to you upon something further taking place. We've had pre-meetings, and Christina chaired the meeting to prepare for the annual Village Fair and the Portuguese celebrations, so that we're totally prepared and in sync for that, and I think they went smoothly, and I thank everyone for their participation, most notably the police department and the DPW and the rec. We've met with co-communications to discuss upcoming issues and potential areas of public relations, additional opportunities for the village over the next few months. During the month of June, we had 2 meetings of the REC IMA committee with representatives of the town and the village. The town determined to turn the maintenance of the village-owned Veterans Park back to the village effective January 1, 2015, and the committee is in discussion of the potential REC IMA terms for 2015, and we'll be meeting again shortly. We met with the County of Westchester, along with the village treasurer, to discuss the recently approved state tax cap in greater detail. Of particular interest is the potential of joining with other municipalities and identifying savings that can be shared in order to achieve the state's tax cap goal. The County of Westchester is considering the role of lead of such a consortium, and will have greater discussion with the Westchester municipalities in preparation for the upcoming early 2015 statutory deadlines. Along with other representatives from the village, elected officials and managers, I attended the annual Westchester Municipal Planning Federation dinner. This annual event honors those communities in the county who have realized significant planning achievements. Over the years, the village has been recognized on several occasions, and this year was honored in recognition of its planning board chair, Joe Clark, and for the Avalon development. This last month marked the official groundbreaking of the renewed Harbor Square project. In addition, we've had some internal meetings with representatives of Harbor Square at the site and here to discuss upcoming concerns as they move through the construction process. I met with the village planner and representatives of the Interfaith Council to discuss the village's ongoing relationship with IFCA and its role in the affordable housing program. Last week met with representatives of the Independent Hose to discuss the terms of their expiring lease, as well as to discuss the investigation of potential outside assistance and evaluation of their energy needs and possible upgrades. I recently met, as I do regularly, with the village manager of Briarcliff Manor to discuss areas of mutual concern and interest. We met with representatives of Pace University in connection with the ongoing planning, building, streamlining review of our departments. We've had several meetings with representatives of the Ossining Police Department in connection with the village's proposal responsive to the town of Ossining request for proposal for police services to the unincorporated area. I had a conference with Jerry Fiala of the Historic Hudson River Towns on the upcoming grant application in connection with the evaluation update of previously created Sing Sing operational museum documents. I provided information to him as requested for the application to be submitted by HHRT with co-sponsoring by representatives of the County of Westchester, the Village of Ossining, and HHRT. And we've had ongoing meetings with several business leaders on areas of concern and in furtherance of complete knowledge of their business needs to be considered in village upcoming plans. We've had continuing internal discussion of village parking abilities, resources, and areas of expansion and additional use. Yesterday, I think I attended the annual meeting at Con Ed, which they hold every year, which provides data on most recent weather trends, storm cycles, and Con Ed's continuing efforts to strengthen their infrastructure, hardwire, et cetera, on the ground, and improving their communications with constituents and municipalities. We always have continuing meetings with legal staff on miscellaneous legal and court matters, and we also have meetings with department heads on pending matters affecting their departments, including personnel matters. The Rodriguez Operations Center, I'm glad to report, is now wired for Wi-Fi, and the conference room is equipped with 2 computer-connected large-screen TVs for ease of presentation at meetings there, and for the ease of viewing by both the sitting boards and the audience. Thanks to Craig Cooper for coordinating that. And finally, the regular meetings that I chair monthly, including the staff meetings. And this month's OEM meeting was focusing on the upcoming fireworks display on July 3rd. So, thank you. That's my report for this month.
Thank you. I just wanted to report on a report that came out this week that decried the terrible condition of the infrastructure of the Hudson Valley villages and towns, roads, bridges, whatever. And as executive director of HHRT, Jerry Fiella wrote a letter to Sandy Galiff saying that there is a reason for this, and that's the 2% cap. People are turning back the grants they're getting because they can't raise the local match. So, and he went on to say how ridiculous and counterproductive this 2% cap is. So it's not going to have any effect, I think, because Sandy is only one person, and even if she changed her mind, the governor's not changing his. So I thought you ought to know at least that that is being bandied about. Our infrastructure is not in terrible condition because we have been pursuing keeping it and maintaining it and improving it. But we have to continue doing that. We can't afford to let it go, like so many other communities have. And with that,
Motion to adjourn for yada yada?
Legal advice.
Contractual legal advice personnel.
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
This ends the televised portion of this evening's agenda. I hope that we will see you at 9:30 on Saturday at Veterans Park. It's going to be a wonderful time honoring Laura Lee and Lee Katz. And then for the fireworks on the 3rd, and you will hear this again next week. But we have the fireworks preceded by a band, and
Don't we have a ribbon
succeeded
cutting?
by a band.
2 o'clock.
Oh, and we have a ribbon cutting at 2 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah.
The new,
Keenan House.
again.
Yeah.
Right. This is great. This is a
So
wonderful
2 o'clock
thing.
on Saturday, Keenan House will be doing a formal ribbon cutting, and I know Ollie's excited to have
Yeah.
everything back to normal, and I'm excited about it too.
There's a lot of beer there.
There is.
There's also an enormous amount of good humor there. Ollie is just so upbeat, and his whole staff is so upbeat. It's just great.
I think it's due to the beer, actually.
You think?
Yes.
And with that, good night.